Music after the storm. This story is by Sophia. Some storms pass quickly, others leave echoes that last for years. This is a story about what breaks in a single moment and what can still be heard after the storm has passed. It had been 2 years, about 730 days, or 17,520 hours, or 1,051,200 minutes, or infinite seconds since they had seen each other, Jack and Rose. That night, 2 years ago, the sound of rain was like an eerie music that played in the background as Rose's world fell apart. It was a night of rain, thunder, and lightning when her heart broke, and her faith in his love had shattered like fragile glass. She knew Jack still harbored feelings for his ex-wife Janet, but they were divorced, and he was supposed to have moved on. She had been so sure of his love until that night, a night when she had felt the sting of his betrayal for the first time in her life. Jack was a divorcee when they met. Janet was his ex-wife, but it seems he still had feelings for her. It was a dark night of drizzling rain, streaked with flashes of lightning and broken by claps of thunder, when a mutual friend chose to host a party they attended. Jack was at her side, paying her attention until that moment, when they heard a knock, and, as the host opened the door, a dark-eyed, raven-haired beauty, his ex-wife Janet, had stepped in, and the dozens of male eyes had swiveled to her. When she beckoned, Jack had left her. A tiny spark of jealousy burst into life in her heart as Rose watched the two of them together. She watched them as they left the room. Silently, from afar, she followed them only to catch the two of them together in a tight, intimate embrace. Her world fractured instantly. At her gasp, they separated. She ran blindly from the party, hailed a taxi in the pouring rain, and let it carry her away. She made the taxi wait for her while she grabbed a few precious items, such as her purse, passport, and important certificates, from their home, and left. The rain and the salty mists in her eyes blurred her surroundings as the taxi took her away from her hometown of Asheville, along a path that led her away from her home and the love of her life. She had left behind most of her clothes and other stuff, and a single letter on the kitchen table. "I cannot trust you any more, Jack. If you still love her, be happy with her." She stayed overnight in a hotel near the airport, and the morning after, she flew to her sister's home in India, where her sister lived in the Indian city of Kolkata with her Indian husband. She found a job teaching autistic children. She had always felt a strong bond with children who had disabilities, so she immersed herself in her career. 2 years had passed, 2 long, endlessly stretching years. In India, life moved forward steadily. She navigated the crowded streets jammed with honking vehicles, heard the temple bells chiming in the distance, and watched street children yelling and shouting at each other in small alleys. There was life and noise everywhere. Her heart was still, though. There was no more music, just an eerie pin-drop silence in her life, except when she was at work and she saw the smiles of the children whom she loved. Sometimes, when the Indian monsoon came, with ominous dark clouds in the sky, pouring rain and the rumble of thunder in the distance, and the scent of wet mud strikes her nostrils, she would blanch. The memory would flicker back, her hand on the doorknob, her eyes frozen on Jack, and Janet locked in an embrace that told her they were never really finished. She wasn't supposed to come back home, but she did. A few days back, she had returned home to the sleepy town of Asheville, the wedding of their mutual friend, Jenny. Lovely, warm, bubbling Jenny, the only person she had confided in about her life in India. Jenny was very insistent that she must come to her wedding. It was raining again on the night of Jenny's wedding. Outside, the rain fell hard against the windows, its steady sound filling the room. The old familiar crowd blurred into the background. Then she saw him. Their eyes met and held across the space between them. It was as if the sea of faces faded, leaving only the two of them. The years between them fell away like a fine curtain, as though they had never been apart. She closed her eyes for just a moment and saw him in their small apartment, humming a song as he helped her wash the dishes, the special smile in his eyes. When she opened her eyes, he was staring at her agonized, as though afraid she might fade away into thin mist. They walked toward each other slowly, cautiously, like stepping onto a frozen pond, unsure whether the ice would hold or crack and send them both under. He whispered her name. Rose. Her reply was barely a murmur. Yes, Jack. He drew a breath. That night, Janet told me she was dying. Of cancer. I was comforting her when you saw us. How is she now? The words slipped from her lips. She lived just 3 months after that day. Rose, she was my ex. I cared for her. That was all, Jack asserted, with a sincere light in his eyes. Rose sighed. It didn't look like it. Jack's voice tightened with frustration. You judged too soon. How could you leave like that? I searched for you everywhere. I prodded Jenny. She never told me until today where you'd gone. I am so sorry, Jack. Tears slithered down her cheeks. She had been so sure, and now she knew she had been wrong about him all along. Will you dance with me? There was a desperate need in his eyes. Yes. Her answer was a soft murmur. They danced until the past fell away, and only the present remained. The song When You Leave, by Caleb Whitten playing softly in the background. The sound of rain receded, replaced by the lilting strains of the music. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.